Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sovereign Spirits, where we discuss the possibility of this system as being a type of trap, where we get caught in a reincarnation cycle, partly perpetuated by so-called guides and counselors. And we focus on ways to transcend this cycle by remembering our true essence and using our intention in a willful and empowered way to manifest an afterlife as sovereign spirits.
I'm Wayne Bush, and I'm here with co-creator and co-host of the show, Julie McVeigh. Julie has experienced over 100 OBEs since 2019, which prompted her to interview nearly 100 people who've had either a near-death or out-of-body experience. She began to recognize a pattern of manipulation and deception in the accounts, which led her to investigate the soul trap theory.
Yes, and Wayne first published his website trickedbythelight.com over 20 years ago in 2002, where he wrote about the light of the near-death experience being a deception and that souls are being recycled as energy. He revamped his website in 2012 and did his first public interview in 2014, referring to Earth as part of a prison system in Lush Farm, language as a spell, the Gnostic demiurge and archons, life as a dream or illusion we need to wake up from, and solutions on how to exit, such as going inward or quitting the game. In 2017, he pointed out many of the tricks and manipulations of the NDE and spoke more about the void or clear light as a viable exit strategy.
So in April of 2023, Julie and I decided to combine forces, and together we began this channel to present our findings and further our research. And part of that is interviewing other researchers and experiencers. So today we're back with another guest, and please keep in mind as we do interviews that we may not be in complete agreement with everything our guests say and believe, just as our guests may not agree with everything we say on our channel. But we do feel they may have pieces to this puzzle we're all trying to put together and have interesting and valuable information to share.
We are happy to have with us today Tony Sayers, energy healer, author, and podcaster. Hello, Tony. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thanks for having me on. It's really nice to connect again with you, Julie, and now Wayne's with you now. So it's the first time that I've spoken to Wayne, so sort of the OG in this field. So yeah, really good to be here, and yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being here. So it's going to be a nice talk, I hope.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Oh,
Go on, sorry.
oh no, I was gonna say let's get right into it, but did you want to add something?
No, I said there's always loads to get into. Just as we started, the drilling started, so that's always a good sign that we're on the right path, I think.
Yeah, exactly. We're trying
Right,
to-
right.
Well, I guess we'll just
Yeah,
start with the
Wayne and I
questions and
created a bunch of questions for you that we're very curious to hear your thoughts on. So
yeah. So first off, how did you come to know your information and why do you trust it? And how did your work transition into the soul trap theory?
Um, so it's a journey. I think it's been a journey for me. It all started off in my kitchen back in the UK when I was working in the corporate world, and just out of boredom, I just felt like I was existing rather than living, working all the hours that, you know, that you do, and I just felt that life was drifting away. And I just remember the exact moment in my kitchen. It was out of boredom. I was like, there must be more to this. Why am I here? Like just to earn money and then die. It just none of it made
right.
sense. And I was disillusioned with, where I was living and just disillusioned with a lot of things. And I think that happens to a lot of people. It has to get so bad before, you really start to drill down into what's actually going on. And so that was the start of it for me. And obviously, I think intention, we'll probably speak about intention a lot in this podcast because, I think it's all about intention. But at that moment, I think I put that intention out, like, what's going on here? And then
Mhm.
that was it. Or the days, weeks that followed, I was just, things would appear on my YouTube suggestions about 9/11 and the moon landing was fake and all this stuff. And I would stumble across other researchers, and just it blew my mind as it does. And then at that point, when I figured out that they were trying to kill us all, I'm like, okay, I got a decision to make here, because I got like a niece and nephew. I don't have children of my own, but they're young, and I thought, well, I can't just keep this to myself. I can't, I want to be able to look them in the eyes and know that on my deathbed, I spoke out for them and for other people, not saying to be a savior or anything, but with truth comes responsibility, right? You either keep it to yourself or, you share it. And so at that point, I decided to speak up, and it was funny because in that moment I remember two insights that I got. It was like, people, you're going to lose a lot of people, and you're going to have to give your life. It was weird. It was just sort of like I was in touch with my soul or something, and at the time. I didn't know what that quite meant in terms of losing my life. Now I know what it means. It means I've dedicated my life to this. And yeah, that was the case. I started speaking up, and then you get all you know, all the pushback that we were speaking about from people think that you've gone mad and all that stuff. And so that was the first level of it. And there are levels to this process, as you guys will know. Um, then fast forward a year or two, when I started to get into where this is all really coming from, which is the astral realm, because it was always my intention to, I don't want to just like know the outside stuff. I want to get to the root cause of why this is like it is. I want to know, like, even if the truth punches me in the face and it hurts like hell, I don't care. I want to get to the absolute truth of things. And so again, I sort of carried that intention the whole way. And then in terms of sort of figuring out like the astral and, well, not that I've got it totally figured out, but the deception that's going on there, it all really started with my own personal experience. I've spoken about this a lot, where I was under energetic attacks from a video that I put out years ago that went viral. After this video went out, felt like I was walking in like thick mud. Unfortunately, this video had got out into, it was about the military, how we consider them heroes and all this stuff, and they're really not. And of course, they weren't happy about that. And then I woke up to I can't remember, 20 odd death threats in my Facebook messenger the next morning. Yeah. So yeah, at that point, since then, like the weeks following, I just felt like I was walking around like in a dense soup and sorry, a dense thick mud, and yeah, I didn't know what was going on. I tried, all these different things, detoxing, changing my diet, nothing seemed to work. And then yeah, one day I just this woman reached out, and she's was doing some energy work, and she worked on me. Part of that was chakra removal. When she mentioned it to me, I was like, what? Because I understood the chakras, from the new age and all that kind of stuff. And although I wasn't heavily new age myself, I was never really strongly into that. I did practice Reiki at one point. So I'd had all that sort of brainwashing and stuff. And yeah, so I had this session, and then from there it was like light and day. The next morning I just felt light. This cloud had lifted. And I just felt like a new person. It was really, really bizarre. And it was at that point I thought, well, maybe that's BS, the whole chakra stuff. Um, and then, yeah, I really wanted to sort of learn how to clear stuff myself. Then I started finding out more about entities, and how there's also a lot of etheric implants where they're trying to implant us in the physical domain. That's already going on in the astral. So the chakras being one implant, but there's many different implants, and they'll target areas of the body, for example, the brain, the heart. Um, so yeah, just there's a whole lot of energetic interference, energetic hijacking that's going on from these entities that are basically masquerading. These are the same entities that are masquerading as angels, loved ones, all these things that we talk about. Um, and so one thing led to another, and yeah, that's how I found myself sort of working within that realm, trying to understand that realm. I've had so many stories that people that have come from, working with what they thought were angels or uh, dead loved ones or channeling, and had really, really bad experiences. So that really helped me understand, how sort of manipulative and deceptive that they are.
Mhm.
Um, and then from there, I stumbled into the soul trap theory, and then realized that they were doing it at the light tunnel and all that stuff as well. So yeah, that's the shortened version of how I've got there. So yeah.
So you mentioned the chakra removals. Is are those like you're actually removing the chakras themselves, or overlays, or all the chakras? Could you talk a little about what chakra removal really is?
Yeah, so it's an overlay. So just like I would say that this realm has been overlaid, the same thing has happened with the chakras. So we still have our three natural chakras, which would be the known as the Dantian points around the sacral, the heart, and the third eye chakra. But what they've done is they've locked this overlay in, which basically allows entities to lock into your energy system and feed on your energy. So we know that these entities feed on our loosh, and the chakras is, I would say, one of the main weapons that they have to do that.
Mhm.
It's not the only thing that they use. Obviously, they use unhealed wounds. Obviously, if you go out drinking and do drug, that opens you up energetically. So it's not like it's their only way that they have for siphoning off our energy, but it does seem to be one of the main weapons, let's say, that they have. And and the same with me, a lot of people report once you remove that implant, because like I say, it is just one implant of many that we have. You tend to get a quietness of the mind. So a lot of the mind chatter, most of the voices that we have, the negative voices in our heads, they're not even coming from us, they're coming from entities. So,
Mm.
particularly with that implant, once it's removed, you find that you have a lot more quietness of the mind. And it was unbelievable to me because when, like, the morning or the days after that, it was like, oh my God, I can hear my own voice in my head, like everything's gone quiet. So that's one of the main benefits. There are some side effects, as there are with all sort of healing modalities. When I had that session myself, it did bring up some unhealed emotions for me, so I had to go in and do some work on that. And that can be a stumbling block for people because it brings some stuff up, and if you don't deal with it, then and of course, it's not the be all and end all. And sometimes, people think that you remove that and everything's going to be, you're going to be
Keep scaling.
light as a butterfly forever in an eternity, and everything's going to be, your life's going to change. You're going to meet the love of your life, and it's not like that. In actual fact, like I say, it can bring stuff up. It can bring
Mhm.
things up that you need to confront to the surface, and so people need to be ready for that because that can be one of the things that needs to be considered. So yeah.
Are they able to do the implants or the overlays again? Like once you've had them removed, are they able to somehow?
So as I understand, the overlays are implanted at birth. So it seems like when we come through, we go through some kind of process where that they're attached onto us, and so when you remove the chakra overlays, they don't come back on.
Okay.
Mm.
And then you mentioned something on your site about true alchemy. What do you consider true alchemy to be?
Um, True alchemy, I think, see, what I'm talking about a lot lately on my channel is I think we need to move away from the word spirituality. I think the word spirituality is so hijacked, it's been so distorted with all the new age nonsense. What I like is the word sovereignty, which is actually in the title of your podcast. What that means is being self-responsible, it's taking action, it's discerning, it's yeah, transmuting what we know into maybe not necessarily a positive, but using that information, yeah, for um, transmutation and to basically improve our lives, and that extends to when we leave this realm as well. So I think knowledge without action is it's useless. I mean, it's like, so many people know McDonald's is unhealthy, and they'll still go and eat it. So I think we
Mhm.
have to start using the knowledge that we have. And I really want to make this point because it's really come up a lot over the last few weeks. Even within this community, what worries me most of all is that people still seem to want a savior or someone to lead them, or despite everything that we talk about on your channel, in my channel, and other channels, um, and how like we keep get manipulated by these beings and politicians and things like this, and they'll whisper a few sweet nothings, and then there's always the rug pull. It seems that we still want to sort of cling on to that, and I think where we are right now in this, I think we absolutely need to stop thinking that someone or something, some deity, some politician is coming to help us or save us. If that happens, great, maybe we'll take it, right? But it's been quite an eye opener and I don't want to go like deep into politics because it's we want to go beyond that. But it's been an eye opener the last few weeks with the election and everything. Just seeing how many people still think that Trump is going to come in and save them, and even though he's like partnering up with Elon Musk, who wants to put chips in our brains and all this stuff, I just, it's beyond me that we still believe that. And I think, yeah, part of that alchemy that I mentioned is to become our own leaders and to become our own saviors. And if you put it in the hands of someone else, or you're relying on someone else, then you're going to get the rug pull, and it's not going to end well. And so, even if someone like Trump was going to come in and do everything that he says he was going to do, the whole political field authority is an illusion anyway. I mean, no one has the right to tell you what to do in your life, make rules for you. It's like, so yeah, that's been quite crazy to me the last few weeks. Just still seeing a lot of that, the savior programming. It seems to be deeply entrenched within our psyches. And I think to get out of that, we really need to do the work on ourselves and
Yeah.
ponder what we are, and realize how strong, how powerful we are as beings.
Right.
And unless you've gone through that process, I think you're always going to look for something outside of yourself, and it's dangerous.
Hmm.
Yes, exactly. Well, you want to go on to the
Sure.
second question? That was our first one.
Yeah, yeah, we have a big question here. What are your thoughts on who or what God or original source is?
Yeah, the million-dollar question, huh?
Yeah.
Um, well, I definitely think that the God within this realm is an AI. And I really loved you guys' video where you were talking about like not merging with God. I'm so glad that you put that out. I thought you explained it so eloquently, the both of you. And it was really weird because it made me think about a lot of things. Well, mainly they promoting it all the time, the oneness thing within the New Age. Anything within the New Age is a big red flag, as we know. But also my own experience once. Years back now, I don't recommend doing it now, but before I knew more than I do now, I actually took some psychedelics with a friend when I lived in Asia on a beach, and I remember I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden, it wasn't like I made the decision to merge with something else. Something merged with me, right?
Mm,
And at the
mm,
time, I thought, oh, this is what everyone talks about, the whole, because I felt like the wave in the ocean, everyone talks about that. I felt like, and I remember my ego was quite peed off about it because it was like everything that I'd built myself up to be, all my, it kind of like powered into like an insignificance. And it didn't feel particularly good. Now, I don't know whether that was just my ego, but when I think about that experience, that whatever that was, it didn't ask me to do that. And
Hmm.
this goes back to, do we have free will? So what was that? What was that that thing that I merged with? The more I think of it, I think it may have been like some kind of AI cloud, like we have the AI cloud here. Um, so it really made me question that experience. And yeah, anything within this realm, this fourth dimension that calls itself God, I would be giving it a wide berth. So I do believe that we have the spark of the creative. I like the word essence. The word essence sits well with me. I believe that we have sparks of that within each and every one of us. Maybe there's some people here that are NPCs and they're just program people. I mean, they're telling us those things in movies and stuff like that.
Hmm.
That's a whole nother subject. um, so the question is, where did that come from? The sparks within us, and I mean, I had a great conversation with Mark Devlin the other day on my channel, and he made a great point. It was like, all right, even if we're sparks and we've come out from somewhere else, assuming there's still like something that created us, why is that force still allowing things going on?
That,
It still doesn't
that,
sit right, does it?
Right.
right.
Hmm.
And then I saw a comment on one of my videos. I think it was the same one from a lady, and I don't know what you guys. I'd love to get your opinion, but it really hit home. It really felt like it was true, and I got a reaction from my body, like shivers when I heard when I read it, and I was like, "That's weird." My body just spontaneously sent like a shiver down my arm.
Hmm.
Uh, so it was basically the fact that we created this realm. Our human souls created this realm, and it somehow got corrupted or whatever. There's a virus if we're looking at it as an AI, and so we've some of us have come back in to try and change it. Or I don't think it can be changed because I think it's set up for fear, suffering, and I think it's an inversion, it's an overlay. But we've kind of come in to break it down, and I think that really resonated because maybe we're all looking for this grand deity, but I know in the astral we can create realms. You can create safe havens, and like you can just close your eyes and I say, "Hey, Julia Wayne, like just imagine yourself in, just create a place like a lake with mountains, and you've got that, right? You've created it. So we can
Hmm.
definitely create. I think with all the programming and everything, maybe we don't know just how much potential we do have. It's hard to realize it here when we're in this physical domain in a body. But what if that was the case? What if we created the original blueprint Earth and yeah, somehow there was a corruption, an AI virus, it came in or however it happened. And so what we're seeking outside of ourselves, what we're looking for outside of ourselves is within us. But again, it begs that question, like, where does that come from? And, I don't have that answer. I mean, that's something that I think we're all still trying to figure out. You would imagine that there must be something where we came from. Yeah, I think maybe it doesn't answer the totality of the question, but what do you guys feel on that theory? Just from your own, do you feel like that could be a possibility, or I'd just like to get your view on it.
Well, I think the first time I heard the possibility was from Wayne, a couple years ago. You did ponder that as a possibility that, well, somehow we created this, and I can't remember. I think you had
Well,
something
like
on your site about
Well,
that.
like you mentioned, Mark Devlin, he was actually my first interview. He reached out like 10 years ago and I did an interview with him. And I was talking about life as a game, I believe. And so as a potential that maybe we did create this as like some kind of entertainment
Hmm.
arena where I don't know whether it's a movie or a play or I mean I just ponder these things so it's quite possible and it takes away like okay we weren't tricked you know but
Hmm.
it's still like
Mm.
why are we such depraved spirits that we would I mean it's such a stupid game and it's such a horrific like and especially like actors they know that they're playing the role in a movie so it's not so bad for them but down here we're totally clueless so it seems very there's so much suffering.
But what if this wasn't the original game that we
Right.
created? Maybe the game that we created was more like Avatar,
Right.
like giant trees and all that
Right.
stuff. And
Well,
then,
or
and then there was a virus or
yeah,
this AI corruption that
typically
came.
what our one of our previous guests,
Mhm.
Lucy, she was talking about that is kind of how she described it, really, is that there were two brothers that initially created this as sort of a game, a
Yeah,
challenge. And then the AI emerged and started kind of corrupting the game. And
That seems to be the prevalent theme through whether it's Gnosticism, oh, there was an error or an
true.
anomaly or something happened, or Dolores Cannon, the New Age stuff, which we'll probably get into later. But oh, virus came. So like they never really have an explanation for it. It's just, oh, something happened, but it's like it doesn't satisfy you to know
Right.
yeah,
something spontaneously arose like that.
yeah. Or the other one that is a very high possibility is that just like they trick us in the false light with the tunnel that we got tricked into here somewhere along the
Mm.
line, and that's just been continuing.
I don't know which is worse, that we were originally tricked into coming to this
Right.
space, or we created the space and it ended up controlling us. Like it puts us in sort of this position of, well, we're not too smart.
Or
Our,
some people think we created AI to make our lives easier, and
yeah,
then that became problematic because I don't know, it became artificial and they wanted it its own.
whether it's us or this outside greater being, it still puts this idea of, well, then we or that outside being is not totally evolved or all knowing, or it can be
mm,
true, or I don't know. There can
mm.
be mistakes.
Yeah, and even as divine sparks, like we're still getting tricked in here now, with the things that I mentioned before. So
Right.
it's it's not, yeah,
Get
it's
it.
definitely
Hmm.
be manipulated. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
We don't have a satisfying answer either, definitely.
no, no, I think it's the one that we're all searching for, we're all seeking. Um, all I know is that we need to just be wise to the games that are going on in here, um, and in the astral, and yeah, we're dealing with tricksters basically, and
Hmm.
they don't care about our free will. There's a lot of talk about we have free will and all the. I mean, you try and you try and cross a border without a passport. It's like you can't do it, and what they're doing. When we pass over, it's in terms of wiping our memory and stuff like that. They don't seem to care about free will, rights, freedoms, all that kind of stuff. So um, yeah, I made the point in the interview with Mark that maybe as humans we're too nice, we're too trusting, and
Mhm.
we want to think I think we want to think the best in everyone. We want to think that everyone's you know,
Right.
uh, honest or whatever. And I think this is where we get undone. I think they use our nature against us. They use our empathy against us. And yeah, it makes us a little bit easy to manipulate. Well, not a little bit, a lot by the looks of it. So,
Hmm.
Yeah, some people also say maybe we came down here for the challenge. Like if you're these infinite, eternal spirits and everything's you manifest anything at will, and then maybe it gets quote unquote boring or something. And so it's like you want some kind of challenge. What would it be like to not be able to do? So there's that
yeah.
theory. There's like we saw this movie Bliss, where it's like maybe we created something to just remind ourselves every once in a while that that it's
How good we
how
have
good we
it
have
on
it.
the other
Like,
side.
but it's like it's so
Yeah,
big. Very like, why would you do that to yourself? This
yeah, I know.
and all this the extremes of the suffering. You know,
Yeah, no, that one, yeah, I don't go with that one. Or there's the one that God needs to
know
experience,
himself. Yeah,
war and what it's like to,
know
have
what it's not
terminal illness.
to
Like,
know what it
And
is.
for how
Right.
long
yeah,
does God
Right.
need to experience that before he
Right.
figures out, oh, this ain't so good, so maybe I won't do that anymore.
yeah, exactly. Well, he's supposed to be omnipotent, right? So surely he would know that anyway. And yeah, there's so much dross out there in terms, and don't even get me started on the whole school thing, Earth to school. I mean, yeah,
Right. That was
that.
our part of our next question, which we're kind of covering our questions kind of together here right now. Some of our questions. Yeah. School, learning. How do you really learn lessons with your mind wipe every time
Right.
you go back to first grade? It's
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you go
that's
to school, you take a test and you fail, and maybe you go back and you do some more revision, and then you take it again, and your chances of passing are higher. But you don't, they don't wipe your memory, so you just forget everything. So,
And you
yeah,
remember that you enrolled in the school, like, oh, I'm going here
yeah.
to learn. I'm taking these classes, but you know who you are and that you're doing it. But down here, we don't have that. We wouldn't have that benefit. So, well, how's that a school?
Like some people say, well, if you had all your past life memories, you would go insane, which I don't necessarily agree with that. But I'm not even asking for all my past life memories.
Just
Some of the lessons that I learned would be good, or at least, very least, who am I really? Where did I originally come from? And what's this all about? Like,
yeah,
I don't have to have
two
every
little
single
things. That's
memory,
all we
but no, we don't
need to
even get
know.
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Matrix wants it set up, all this stuff set up, so it's all, blame is on you, not the Matrix. So you don't look at, how inherently evil it is. It's all, well, you signed a contract. It's your lesson that you didn't learn. It's your karma. It's all your fault. Um, Even in like with the self-help community or self-healing and all that stuff, self-improvement, I guess you'd say, is you know why have we got to go through all this self-improvement? I mean, why can't we fundamentally look at why we all need to self-improve? Like, all the stuff that's set up to, yeah, to give us a hard start in life and everything, and none of it makes sense. The whole place just doesn't make sense, and the whole Earth is a school is just the worst. Trait that you can take on as a belief system, I think, and it completely, yeah, lets the Matrix off the hook because you can pass any horror or terror away. Well, and I've had New Agers tell me, like, I get so riled up sometimes with them. I'm like, okay, so what about the little boy or girl in Gaza Strip that saw her mum and dad blown up in front of her? Because this stuff goes on, this isn't an exaggeration. Oh, well, maybe they needed to experience duality. Like, right, okay, yeah, they needed to know what evil was like. So yeah, the whole idea that this is some kind of game that we created to like experience, like, yeah, negativity as a duality is, yeah, very flawed in my opinion. I think
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
it's like when they say this is an illusion. Like you hear it so often, this is all an illusion. Well, I'm sorry, but it feels very real while you're here. I
Right.
really feel gaslit when people say that.
An illusion isn't something that's not real. I mean, it's not, it's just, it's different than what you're told or think it is. Like, it's not like it doesn't exist. It's like if you see an illusion of something, it's just something, it's something other than what you thought it was. So it's not like it's like you're saying, it's very real. When you're here, you feel the pain.
Mm,
And for someone to say it's all an illusion, well, maybe, but it still doesn't help you in that moment.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I was gonna say something I forget, but do you want to talk about?
Well, I was just saying the things you're talking about, like, oh, this things that, oh, you have to learn all these lessons and it's a school and all this stuff. That mostly they're trying to like your program, especially in Christianity from the beginning, that you're born in sin and you're just no good for nothing. And it's
Mhm.
also this authority. So they're flexing their power of
Right.
you and they making you feel like you're know nothing. You got all this to learn. And listen to us, like these lords of karma,
Oh,
right? Like
don't
so
forget
it's
the
not like
robe.
Right. I said, well, that was one of our questions, not the next one, but like, what is karma in your mind? Or because is it a part of the deception where they're trying to tell you that there's karma so they can force you to go back or tell you got to go back, or did you feel karma is something else?
Yeah, I absolutely 100% think karma's a scam. I don't see it playing out here at all. You have, you know, I can here in Mexico, there's a lot of poor people. Sometimes, like there's poor people rummaging through the bin. Like they'll be the nicest people. You give them a little bit of money, they'll be the nicest people. Big smiles, and then you've got like big fat pedophiles going around doing what they do, and they've got all the money, the wealth, the mansions. It's
Right.
just you can have an innocent person go to jail for a lifetime, and then you can have a murderer that just continues to live a life with nothing happening. So I don't see it playing out at all here. I 100% believe it's something that they use to shoehorn people back round to get people feeling bad about themselves, feeling guilty. Um, and yeah, if you're presented with, well, you've got to resolve your karma, it kind of puts you into a corner where you can't go anywhere else other than back down here again. So
Right.
literally is a shoehorning attempt. Same with the idea of heaven and hell. It's you know what it's like. The algorithm, whatever it is, will use whatever you're
Right.
into. So if you're into religion, they're like, well, look, Wayne, Julie, if you don't do it right, then well, look, there's hell. So, but you've got another option. You could go down and learn your lessons and back down to earth again.
Well, you mentioned this algorithm, and it's interesting because when I was looking at some of the Dolores Cannon stuff, she was talking about this huge supercomputer over there, which uses an algorithm to like calculate what your next life should be. And she's talking about these computers over there. And we were watching your breakdown of Dolores Cannon, and she actually said going to this God as a computer or something like that. I have the actual quote here, but
Yeah,
and that
she
was an
said.
amazing catch you found there. That's great.
Yeah, I didn't even watch that one before. It was a mic drop moment where she basically said that the God was an AI.
Yeah,
And
she says, quote, we take all the information back, download it into the gigantic computer that is God, that is the source.
yeah, unbelievable, right? Where's the best way to hide the truth? Right in front of your eyes. Yeah,
It's crazy.
So that's the
yeah.
AI, that's the light of the near-death experience. That's the not the true God if there is one, but it's the demiurge.
Why would these entities, though, if they're AI, why would they show up as ETs? The mantids and the reptilians and the Dracos. What?
I think they don't. I think that's their true form. But obviously, when you die and you go to the light, they shapeshift. They can change, and so when I remote view, say Archangel Michael, it looks like a squid. So basically, that's not their true form. That's what they show up as, and so.
Michael
Um,
shows up with this big mighty warrior with a sword, and
can
he's going
you
to
can you
protect
imagine
us. And
dying and then a big
God
reptilian?
has an army. God needs an army, right?
Yeah, imagine dying and a big reptilian meets you at the light tunnel and says, "Hey, come here. You're not going to go, are you?" So they pull out all the tricks, all the stops, and they put on a show up there. And I mean, it's so cruel. I mean, you know what? I feel, Julie, you interviewed a lot of these people, so you'll know better than anyone. But these NDEs that have had these NDEs, there really is like little hope for them because they're so because they've been through that fake death thing. Because
Yeah.
I think there's the NDE that you reviews and that I review, the light tunnel that they show them heaven or whatever, and it all feels great and yada yada. But bells and whistles come out. There's that NDE for so they become agents of the Matrix when they're back down here. But then there's when you really die, there's that other realm that's like Earth, where people have jobs and
Right. Right.
there's money, and apparently it's more locked down than this place, and there's police and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
that's where you really go, and you go and register at the processing center when you pass over, which is in a lot of the movies, the Beetlejuices and all that stuff.
Right.
So they've set up the fake NDE, and then they've got the real deathly experience.
Mhm.
But those NDEs, they're so blinded by their experience. They were put on such a show
Yeah.
that it would be very difficult for them to like listen to what we put out and
Right.
really change their opinion in every. But interestingly enough, a lot of them say, I didn't want to come back. There was one that I watched, and he was really bitter that he'd been convinced to come back here. And I
Yeah.
actually reached out to him on email because I thought, I think this guy might be open to listening to what we've got to say on
Right.
this. He never
Hmm.
got back to me, but um, because I wanted to interview him because he was peed off that he'd come
Hmm.
back, and he couldn't understand it, even though he was talking about his experience. You could tell he wasn't happy with about it,
Right.
and he still didn't understand what had happened to him. And yeah, so there's the two NDEs. There's the fake love and light one, and then of course, all the people that are dying right now with, what was put in the juice and everything. Um, they're going to stumble on these videos because these channels have hundreds and thousands of subscribers, hundreds of thousands of views, and they're going to be, oh, don't have to worry, it's going to be all right. I just,
Right.
my loved one's going to be there, God's going to be there, Jesus is going to be there, or whatever. So it's
Very
so,
comforting. They prefer
yeah.
this beautiful lie over an ugly reality, or truth.
I was kind of curious, do you feel like these entities are 3D or 5D, 4D? Like are they in physical
Um,
bodies or have some kind of physical form?
I don't think they're physical. No, I think the whole physical aliens coming here from another planet. I think that's a fake agenda. That's to tie into
Okay.
blue beam, to blue beam and all that stuff. Where there's they're going to put on a light show for people, and then they're going to unite the world with a one world government. And when you look down the years, how many like stories are being leaked in the mainstream about disclosure and all that stuff, and then you got who's that guy? Gear,
Stephen
what's
Greer,
Stephen
the
Greer.
Disclosure Project.
I just see reptilian when I look at him. I just can't get away from it. But
Wow.
yeah, so you got all that going on, and I think that's a
Yeah.
smokescreen. I think, I mean, I don't even believe that this. I don't believe that space exists. Not certainly the way that we
Mhm.
understand it to. I think that we're under a dome here, and I think there's not anything that can come in. So,
I
uh,
actually mentioned that like in my first interview with Mark Devlin. I listened to it just a few days ago, and I was mentioning the dome and all that stuff. I don't
yeah.
know
Well, you were years ahead of your time. So.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, but yeah, so what I believe, I mean, when you look at the word aliens, it's got the word lie in it, in the middle of it,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
So,
Also lien. It's a
Lean.
lien, like a loan, like we're under their ownership or whatever. Like they want
yeah,
us to
yeah,
do that. So
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I believe them to be interdimensionals, and I think what we're seeing in the skies, I think it's either black ops ships, government stuff, or I think these interdimensionals can come in and out of dimensions, and maybe what we're seeing with these so-called sightings. But who know? It could be some kind of holographic technology as well. But yeah, greys, reptilians, these are just yeah, entities within the next dimension next to us. So I would say fourth, maybe this is part of the fourth, but yeah, I think that's what we're seeing when we're talking about aliens. They're more interdimensionals,
it's
rather.
interesting. Some of them show up in the near-death experience where I don't know, there's at least a couple dozen that
Right.
we've seen where
Hmm.
there's grays that are, quote, in charge of the recycling souls and things like that. There was this one guy that we wanted to get on this to interview, but he didn't get back to us. Well, he said he was going to do it, but then when we set up a Zoom to talk, he didn't show up. But
All
I
right.
think he'd seen aliens. Was that the one where there was like a reptilian there too, or was that a different one? But anyway, there's a
There
lot of
was two of them.
NDEs
Yeah, I
that have
remember.
the aliens. And of course, they're, like you're saying, they're shape-shifting. That's not their true
Reptilian.
form.
Mm.
So it just shows manipulation and deception. Like when the one says, are you really the Virgin Mary? But and then it shows its true form. It's like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's teeming with different entities. I mean, when you speak to people that have done all these psychedelics and all that stuff, which I
DMT.
always say, it's no, people think when they're taking psychedelics, they're getting the truth of stuff, they're seeing what's really going on. I mean, you're just going into the astral. You're just going
Right.
into what I call
They
their
they call it base reality, but I mean, come on, really?
Yeah, yeah. You're just going into their their domain. Domain is an interesting word, right? It's another
Right.
like computer type word. Their domain. So yeah, and of course, people come back and they get all this sort of kind of half truths with disinformation and
Right.
all this kind of stuff, and they feel like they've had an experience where they've experienced everything and they know what's really going on when it's just more manipulation and yeah. So I think and it's right now that's being heavily promoted and just go to the jungle, take ayahuasca, and you're going to heal all your trauma and all this stuff. And
Right.
um, yeah, I noticed even what's his name, Robert Kennedy Jr. was talking about it now. He's like Trump's right hand man. I was like, okay, here we go with the psychedelic agenda being rolled out. Um, so yeah,
Do you think there are other planets that people or souls reincarnate on that, okay, I don't want to go back to that Earth planet. It's too heavy, it's too dense. And then, all right, we have an
That's
option for
another
a
option. Oh yeah, sure, there's another
lighter
sales pitch.
planet that's a little, but it's still part of the matrix. Do you?
yeah. Well, you guys have sort of spoke with Anne-Marie Uber. Oh, can you
Mhm.
hear me still? And she talks about, there's many different versions of this AI realms, and that resonates with me. I feel like when you think of AI, it self-replicates, doesn't it? It self-replicates. So it would make sense that there are, maybe other replications of this, and so yeah, I think. Do they give us maybe a problem? Yeah, who's to say, right? If you've got someone there that really doesn't want to go back to Earth, but they still went down the light tunnel, and they're dealing with a elder or a guide with their robe, as they like to wear, because
Right.
somewhere someone wears a robe, we just bow immediately.
Right,
Us
yeah.
humans, right? That's all you need to do is wear a robe, right? And people
Candles.
just hang off every word that you say. It really annoys me how like
Well, a lot of
automatic.
these are hooded. They're like hooded beings in cloaks and robes. It's like that
Yeah.
doesn't. I mean, I guess I don't know. It just
Yeah,
sounds
imagine I turned up for this interview in a robe and like you could hardly see me. It's like it's a bit
right.
shady. Yeah. So so yeah, I mean, who's to say they get someone that's particularly difficult to shoehorn back in and they say, well, all right then. We've got this other place called, I don't know, Earth 2, let's call it. And it's a little bit more love and light, and you can learn your lessons there, but it won't be so harsh, right? And so then they end up there. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them, because if this AI just, I believe that we're the batteries in this thing. I think we power it all, and I think this is ultimately, I think, one of the solutions to bringing this down because as a human soul, we are incredibly powerful. Just one human soul. I mean, I spoke earlier about some of the energetic hijacking. It's incredible, but left unchecked, our energy would be so expansive, and it would be a big problem for them. So that's why they do it, everything that they do. So you take one soul out of the system, it's going to lose power. If you take 100 souls, it's going to lose a lot more power. You take millions of souls, then suddenly maybe it shuts down. And this is what I mean, I think, by maybe we are partly the solution of bringing this down. The more, because I think within this community, we've still got questions that we all want answered. And sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I get a little bit frustrated because I'm like, what's the ultimate, like the God thing and all that stuff. But maybe it is just the getting the
Yeah.
knowledge, understanding that okay, it's a trap or a trick, saying no, being sovereign, um, calling your shots when you pass over and leaving, setting that strong intention to leave, um, totally, the astral and everything. And then once that battery, if you look at it as like a battery gets out of here, then the system, the AI loses that power. So millions of batteries getting out, it's going to lose a lot more power. And you take the batteries out of anything, it just stops working. So maybe it's quite simple. But I don't know what you guys think about that.
No, I
Yeah.
think you're right on the money. I mean, that's like we got to just stop, go, well, first of all, don't don't go to the light. But yeah, if we are the power source or the battery for the whole system, then we people got to got to start saying no to reincarnations and stop going
Mhm.
to the light. And like you say, take your own authority and just stop following what other people are, what these guides and counselors are like trying to tell us we need to do, or these people posing as, ascended masters, Jesus, lords of karma, the council, all that stuff. It's just a big power play. Or like a lot of times near-death experiencers will see the being on a throne, which is like a power position, right?
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
conditioned.
incredible. They love their hierarchy, don't they? But this is the important thing about. I started off earlier talking about becoming sovereign, and not so much spiritual, but more sovereign. Doesn't mean that, we're not. I believe we're energy. I don't think that we can ever truly die. So we can hold that as a truth and a power play for us. But if you don't get to the point in this physical life where you're sovereign, if you're still looking for a leader, looking for a savior, that's going to carry on through into your afterlife.
Right.
And whether or not you get out of this matrix or you get into like the real, as Anne Marie calls it, it's if you still haven't realized that within yourself, you're going to be open to being manipulated again. Um, so it really is an inside job in terms of the solution in that sense. And it's so important that we do that. And this is why, my whole channel basically is like calling out the new age and along with religion, new age was created as the new religion. Because within that uh, scene, it's all about your guides are going to come and help you. Call on your guides, call on Archangel Michael, call on your ascended masters, call on the Galactic Federation of Light. It's more of the same. They've
Right.
basically they've basically swapped Jesus and
Yes.
Muhammad, whatever,
Mm.
for guides, angels. It's rehashed. It's the same thing. So if you
Yeah.
if you don't get out of the new age and religion and drop those things and realize that you are the one that you've been waiting for, no one's gonna no one's gonna hold your hand and help you through this. I mean, podcasts like this can help, but you've got to move into a more sovereign frequency, um, and that way, when you pass over, whatever happens, if some entity or what you think is some friendly being talks to you, then you're okay. Let's see how this information feels. Okay, that feels right. I like what this energy's got to say, and then you can make much better decisions and much better judgments. But while you're like, oh, where am I, or I don't know where to go, and oh,
Hi.
this entity will help me, or then it's
That brings up this other question that many have is what if you're on your deathbed and you have Alzheimer's, your consciousness or dementia, of some sort. When you cross over, is that still having an impact on you, or you have clarity at that moment?
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear hopefully the building work's not coming through. Oh, okay, it's really just started quite heavily right now. Um, yeah, that's a good question. And the other thing that I've been thinking about as well is like when people die, they put them on so much morphine and all
Yeah,
these like
yeah.
I really that doesn't sit right for me. I want to be able to be as conscious as I can be going through that process. Um, but the problem is, if something happens to you, where do you get wheeled off to? You get wheeled off to hospital. If you're unconscious, they put you on a morphine drip or whatever. So
Right.
it's like it's another it's another what I would say gray area that we're all trying to figure out. I mean, ideally, yeah, you'd want it clean cut, maybe quick, and so then you just pop out, and then you're like, okay, I died, and then you go from there. But do those drugs inhibit your thinking, or the argument would be, well, when you pass, you just you're back to your spirit and all your
Right.
memories, everything like that
Physical.
come back. Um, so
Okay.
yeah,
It,
it's something to ponder for sure.
and yeah, and I always think, oh, die in a hospital where all the guides and counselors are hanging out,
Well, that's yeah.
waiting. Like,
That's
okay,
where all the
who's
ghosts hang out as well.
Grim Reaper. Well, when my grandmother passed over, my parents put her in hospice, and I stayed with her for the week that she was there. And as she was nearing her death, she actually had conversations with beings that I could not see, and they were like literally asking her name. She's telling, "Oh, I'm so and so and so." She gave him the date of birth, so and so so. Oh, that's my grandson. Da 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 da. And they're like literally like coming, like, "Okay, who are you?" And like they're
Yeah,
there
yeah.
to like the Grim Reaper, like we're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. When my nan passed, she just got up before she passed, she got up like she was out of it for days. And then she just got up and it was like she was talking to some being. It's almost like they're ready and waiting, aren't they, for people?
yeah.
So yeah, it's the,
We
the,
were we were talking about the New Age deception. Well, we know that that's a big part of your podcast, and I mean, I myself, I think Wayne too went from Christianity. You went to New Age right after that,
Yeah,
a little
I
bit,
was reading all
and
the Dolores Cannon books and Michael Newton. Like, oh, finally, I found some good information.
oh, it's
I
school.
and
It's a school.
And I finally
maybe,
questioned it.
because you're ready. I feel like the New Age is this
Just
other
bigger
net
net.
ready to
Mhm.
catch you when you're done with like a religion. But what about Gnosticism? And this isn't actually one of our questions. We didn't plan this, but it kind of reminds me, still Gnosticism has this bit of relying on a savior mentality, right?
Yes, absolutely. There's all the scripture, and he's not necessarily the savior like in Christianity, but I mean, they're talking about this ineffable father or the father mother, and like, I mean, you're just a divine spark I guess from the monad or something. And so they're
Right.
still relying on this. It's a religion. There's still all these religious scriptures they're trying to parse through and figure out. And you're giving, I mean, they say, oh, it's gnosis and it's know thyself, but the irony is almost they're still giving their authority
But
away.
it also reminds me of well, when I was in Christianity and we made excuses for this God that could not intervene and help humanity out because that would be violating our
Free
free
will.
will. And the not or some Gnostics seem to have that kind of similar argument. Well, if God intervened, he's far too loving for that
It's
to
too good.
interfere
Yeah.
with the free will of its beings. Like, oh, I can't interfere with the demiurge. Well, okay, well, don't interfere with the demiurge. Just take me out of here. You
Yeah.
know, just take whoever wants out of here, out of here. That's not interfering with free will. I don't get that argument.
Yeah, anything organized, kind of like mainstream. I know Gnostics were kind of like seen as like sort of outside thinkers, but what I talk about in all over the place in this matrix, whether it's a politician, whether you're talking to an entity you think you're channeling, your dead dad or something like that, or an organized religion or the New Age, they will put up to, I would say, up to 90% truth into something, and then there is what I call the rug pull or the dump in the punch bowl, and it's like there's the rug pull, right? It's like it's so much truth, there's so much resonance about it, but you still need a savior though. And that is like that's a big one, right? Because
Yeah.
if you die thinking that you still need a savior, even though you've taken on all those other really useful concepts, they've got you because you're going to be seeking that afterwards, or you're not truly sovereign still, which is what I was speaking about earlier.
Did you want to take this next
Oh,
question?
well, we have a question. I don't know why we have this, but what is universal law? Is that something you've mentioned on your
Yeah.
site? And does that apply outside the matrix?
Um, so I used to believe that natural law existed. karma, I guess. Actually, I really bought into it. They got me on that one. Um, and I was quite a long time into the work of Mark Passio. I don't know if you know Mark Passio,
For the
but
name, yeah.
yeah, but he basically was saying that that natural law is tied into a law of freedom. So the more good that you are, the more freedom you have. And he was basically his underlying message was the fact that we're slaves or as we're a slave race and that there's so much bad things going on was basically our fault because we were ignorant and we don't care about the truth and all that kind of stuff. And I believe that to be the case for a while. But when I really started getting into the entity interference and stuff like that, I'm like, hang on a minute, they're hijacking our energy. They're doing all of this stuff to us, poisoning our food, water, air, mind control, constant programming. This isn't all our fault. And then I just dropped it. So yeah, there's the idea of like natural law, which is the same law as what we were talking about there, karmic law. I don't believe in it, no.
Okay.
Well, here's an interesting question. Origins of humanity. Any thoughts on that?
The origins. Yeah.
There's different
What in
views.
in terms of what have we
Possibly
in
ET
other
interference,
realms?
like Anunnaki, possibly like altering our DNA to create, these beings that can work for them and worship them, and more like the
Like,
Zachariah Sitchin type stuff.
Okay, yeah, that never resonated with me. That stuff, the Anunnaki stuff. But I've been talking a lot about the human body recently, and me and Mark touched on it in the podcast. In that we hear everywhere the human body is incredible,
right.
um, and I'm like,
Me.
hang on a minute, the whole like death process. I mean, some people get sick for months, years. Like people develop like back pains in their early 20s and they can't walk all throughout their
Right.
life. Just I said the other day on one of my feeds that the other day I had a long eyebrow, right? It was really, you get a long one. It was bugging me. I was like, oh, look at that, and I picked it out, and it was. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't like rolling around in agony, but it was like, oh, why does that need to hurt so much? Like, what's the point of that? So you would think if the intention, let's talk about pain, right? So if the intention of pain is to be like a warning signal, why does it have to be so intense? So, if I have a toothache, why can't it just
Sure.
be like a little, hey Tony,
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
problem
yeah.
with your tooth. Why has it got to
Yeah.
be raging,
Right,
right? And
Right.
then it's got to affect my head, so I get a headache, and then
Mhm.
and then I can't sleep because it hurts so much. And then you know what I mean? It's like it's just
The
it
body
just
seems to be
like
designed.
it just decays. The fact that we have to poop and pee, and it's it's
Yeah.
almost like the body dominates our life rather than us being in
Right.
control
Right.
ourselves.
We're constantly in maintenance mode with
That's what
these
we talk about all the time.
avatars,
It's like
and
so much time is spent on maintaining just the avatar. Like,
it's a
Yeah,
distraction. It keeps you from getting at the real truth. I mean, thinking
it's
about
another
things
distraction.
and having time to research or whatnot. Having,
yeah. I mean,
some
I
lucid
look up.
dreaming, it'll be, yeah.
Yeah, I spend a lot of my day like maintaining myself, and because I like to feel good in myself.
Right.
Right.
Because the other week I was thinking, God, I do all this like health stuff, eat right, and saunas and all this stuff, and then I'm like, oh my God, I'm prolonging my life here. I'm going to live for
Right. But you don't
hundreds
want
of
to be in
years.
pain. It's a quality of life toward the end. You don't want to
You
be
have to
in
live in this
pain
place. You
for
want to
so long.
feel
Yeah,
some
yeah,
healthy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's
exactly.
funny
So.
too.
And then you got to watch your loved ones pass. It's like that in and of itself. I mean, imagine the loosh. I mean, that's why the word eat is in the word death.
Mm.
I know it's depressing. I know it's like horrible to hear, but the whole the body is incredible. I think couldn't be further from the truth. And when you look at how like the women give birth like for hours on end and stuff like that, it's not right. And so.
Yeah. I've heard
I
it.
think, yeah, yeah. I mean, I've never given birth, but I can imagine it's pretty bad. But
Yeah.
so it seems to be set up or designed for loosh. I mean, let's just call it as
Right.
it is. I think
Right.
it's the perfect loosh harvesting facilitator.
And the fact that creatures have to basically kill each other and eat each other just to
God.
survive, that's right there in the design.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
why? What purpose? Like plants can, photosynthesis. Why not design a system where you get
I just,
energy
it's
from the
so hard to
sun or
imagine that my true essence, spirit essence would design this or create this. I mean, maybe like you're saying it was something completely different and then it got hijacked,
Mm.
I guess, but
Yeah,
it's
I
not
mean, I was,
it's not a very safe system or secure system if it gets hijacked or some hacker comes in and takes over. It's like you
but,
weren't
but
too
it's
smart.
but it's inherently not safe. I mean, everyone's seeking safety. It's really not.
yes,
It's not a safe realm.
I'm
I mean,
saying it's not a very secure, it's not a very secure or safe system if that was the case. It's
yeah, yeah. But yeah, you're right. Absolutely, everything needs to consume something else to survive. And I was vegan for a few years. I got sick because you need the nutrition. I was starting to lose my memory, and
wow,
even now I eat meat now and eggs and stuff. I still think still doesn't feel right that I need to do that. It
right,
still doesn't sit completely
right.
right with me. But the body needs those nutrients, and yeah, so.
Mm.
Yeah, I think to answer your question, it definitely the design of the human body has definitely been tampered with and our DNA messed with, and I'm sure there's a lot of manipulation with it. I don't think this is the original design of a loving creator.
Right.
Um, so it goes back to the age of that old question, doesn't it, of the original creator that you know why is it
That's got the
done?
word eight in it too. Create or and or is like energy, like
Oh yeah, eight, create. I didn't think of that.
yeah,
Wow.
Hmm.
Mm,
like ore is a refined energy source or something like that. It ate our I don't know.
yeah. The deeper you go, the more depressing it gets. It's
Oh yeah, don't get me started on the words and language.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So have you learned anything about the construct of the Matrix or anything about like ET technology, maybe, about the love bombs or mind wipes, soul capture, that thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty. I think we can definitely conclude by now that they have false light frequency technology, which is,
Right.
I don't know. I believe it's coming from the moon. I feel like the moon's part of that soul, yeah, the soul trick. Um, they probably have other, I mean, the memory wiping is obviously some kind of technology as well. So whatever's going on out there, they've definitely got some technology going on. Um, and I think I think it's also important to we realize our own inherent not abilities in terms of telekinesis abilities out in the astral, because we are powerful beings. And if I put on my channel a few months ago of where this guy discovered the real afterlife, where people have jobs and all that stuff. And he said that police were coming after him, astral police, and he used his energy to make the police hit themselves with their batons. And I think what one of the solutions or one of the things that we need to as a community start coming getting to grips with and researching and realizing is the fact that we have those abilities and we might need to use them. And this is something again I said before, like these beings, they're nasty. I mean, let's be 100%. They're nasty. And just like in this domain, if someone goes to punch you or kick you, you got self-defense and you got to use it. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of us in like alternative media, no one likes violence. No one likes to use force. I think as humans, we don't want to. We just want to be peace loving. I think that's just our natural what we fall back into. But when it comes to what's going on right now, I mean, hopefully we just avoid the light and we can bypass all of this stuff. But it's useful. Well, it's not just useful to know. It's vital to know that you can kick ass in that realm. You can kick ass. in terms of our own telekinesis abilities. And of
Right.
course, that's all hidden from us. And it may well be that, we as humans, we need to, become a little bit more streetwise, I guess is the word that I'm looking for, in terms of, what maybe we might come up against. And I'm not saying that we definitely will. But when you see and research some of what, there's talk of like nets with souls and stuff like this, and who knows? I mean, I'm not saying it's all true, but for me, I just want to be as prepared as possible. And I think, yeah, they have technology, but we have our own inherent abilities as well, which I believe would be way more powerful than anything that they could do to us. But the thing is we're going around like sheep. We're not, we're just being told where to go. Um, we're being um, we're being used in terms of our beliefs, and we're like, oh, okay, then all nicey
Right.
nicey. I think we need to get a little bit badass. I really
Yeah.
do.
It seems like you're saying like everybody seems to have this like passive attitude, like, well, people that aren't aware of this trap, like whether it's Christians or whatever, they're just waiting for Jesus to come or whoever to show them, take them to
Hmm.
heaven. But so we should need to be more proactive with like so we try to do this daily affirmation to prepare us at the moment of death where we immediately you're putting up a protection, you're invisible, and everything like you're saying is based on intention. So you can teleport like if an entity did come, you could just teleport away
Yeah.
or put up a shield. It's all you have to realize you have the power.
Yes, yes, yeah, and I think I'm really glad that we're getting to the end of the podcast, t touching on all of this because it's not really spoken about in the fact that deep down we're all badasses. It's just we've all forgot it, and we need to realize that we do have those capabilities. And what
Right.
are they all about? What is the New Age all about? The New Age is all about getting us to stand down. It doesn't want us to take action. Don't look at that. Don't look at the negative. You'll lower your vibration. Don't judge. All the stuff that they tell us in the New Age not to do, that's what we should be doing. The New Age, it tells you, like, we can never be violent. We can never be angry. Great change comes when you get angry. Great change, that initial emotion of anger. Not saying that we have to dwell there because that can be toxic, but that
Hmm.
righteous anger. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm friggin' pissed off with what they're doing here, and not just what they're doing on this side, what they're doing in the astral with all the trapped souls over there. And I think it's about time that we do get a little bit maybe nasty back. Not saying that.
No, I agree.
It's just we're too nice and we're too trusting, and maybe we need to use those abilities that we have. And what I'm saying is just remember that you have those abilities. Keep that in your back pocket.
But there's a
Well,
balance with like letting things go and becoming detached and like if you're angry and pissed off, it's like where are these in it? It's like you're keeping
right, you
the
don't
whole
want
thing
to,
system going too.
right. I know that when I go out of body and I'm in the astral, it's interesting that it's this strong and kind of intense intention is what actually gets me doing things, makes me go transport, fly, manifest. It does take some determination, so to speak. You can't just be passive because I will be just here,
Right.
gone, go here and there without really knowing what is it that's taking me. Is it my subconscious? Is it an entity? So I have to stay firm in my own
Yes.
control, my own sovereignty, even when I'm out of
Yeah.
body, especially maybe when I'm out of body. But I have been to some of those places that you talk about or your friend talked about, that seem like an astral city kind of realm. It says it's
Mm.
not Earth, it's someplace else, and people are doing regular Earth life, it seems
Yeah.
like. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, apparently he said that they don't, because they die in ignorance. Ignorance doesn't die when we die. They don't realize that they have telekinesis abilities. So he's saying that maybe they died of old age and they're in the astral, like old age, hunched over people, sick
Hmm.
people. There's that film. What's it called? Damn it.
Oh, yeah.
In the
Not,
80s.
not Cocoon. No, it must have been something
No,
else.
no, no. But
That's
it
a real old.
basically, in the film, in the afterlife, all the people died. They showed up how they died, and a lot of them were old. And so this guy died in a car crash when he was young, and he was there young, but they were all still old. And what this guy was saying, did this astral travel, he said they don't realize that they can change form and they can make themselves younger in in that dimension. So they're stuck there, old, still got their belief systems, religion, new age, whatever, and
Right.
they're doing the same things there than they were doing here. I mean,
Like
it's
ghosts on the repeating loop where
yeah.
yeah.
And apparently they can stay there for like 30, 40 years before they come back to this place. So,
I
yeah,
don't know. One time I went to this realm, I seemed Earth-like, and these two older women were sitting on a bench, and I walked over, introduced myself, and they were talking I said, "What's this building over here?" And they said it's a kind of like a library where people learn silly or trying to learn about silly things like flying. But so
thing.
and then I ended the conversation by, oh, speaking of flying, it's really fun. You should learn about it and try it. And then I flew off.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't even, some of these
People
realms, I'm
get
not
trapped
sure.
in their belief systems. That's such the
That's the
important.
thing. That's the point I'm trying to make. What your belief systems you carry on into the astral. I mean, I think if any of us get that far in terms of that city thing, I think we've gone too far. The whole idea is obviously to swerve that and just not go
Oh,
to the light.
yeah.
But who knows what we're going to come up against, out there,
Yeah.
in the real or whatever. So, but I think it's just good to be reminded of our own power and our own inherent um, gifts of being able to create, teleport, if we need to, self-defend, and just have that in the back of our minds that we might need to use that at some point, and that's okay. If someone comes to you in the street with a bat or something, and you've got an opportunity to knock him down first before you get hurt, you're going to do it. So what is inherently wrong with that? I'm not telling people to be violent, but self-defense and violence are two different things. And I think we have the right to defend ourselves, and we should defend ourselves if ever that becomes necessary. Hopefully it won't, but
Right. Yeah, our plan is just not even we're not hanging out in the astral.
yeah, exactly.
We're
Our
getting out of there. We're setting an intention to
steady
go
protection, setting
beyond the
intention
deceptive
Yeah,
matrix and go
yeah,
out
I
to
agree. Yeah, the
true
astral
investment.
is part of the trap.
inward,
Absolutely.
which
And
is
we're just like bam, 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 bam before they even realize, oh, wait, there's one over there. It's like we're
Yeah,
gone.
yeah, yeah. Already gone. Yeah, yeah. That's what I mean. The whole astral is a trap, and yeah, the
oh,
idea
it's a
is to get
mess.
out.
It's a mess
Yeah,
in even in
yeah,
my even in my dream life, I have people chasing me down and injecting
Yeah.
me with a substance that makes me go unconscious.
right,
I had
exactly.
a number of times, and I always suspect, maybe that's when I was becoming lucid in my dream, and they're trying to just shut me
Oh,
down.
I've got a really good, interesting story about that. I worked with a client, and he said that he used to lucid dream every night. Basically, he'd become really good. And then one night he was in a forest, and he said, "I saw two men, and they were in British Army uniforms." I thought that was interesting, British Army uniforms. Interesting that they've got uniforms up there or
Yeah.
out there. And
Hmm.
they injected him with something or something. And he's like, "What are you doing? What did you do?" And it's like, "Well, put it this way: if you're able to lucid dream again, then this didn't work." And then he said, from that moment on, he wasn't able to lucid dream. And then I did some work with him, and we managed to get him lucid dreaming again.
Wow.
But it's yeah, they don't want people exploring out there, it seems. And I'm kind
Mhm.
of jealous of you because I try a lot and I just haven't mastered it yet. So, um, yeah,
Lucid
maybe.
dreaming, you mean lucid dreaming or the
Well,
OBE?
yeah, just either. I mean, I'm getting better at remembering my dreams, but it seems that maybe I've got some hijacking going on that I don't know about. But yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't seemed to mastered that just yet.
Did you
No, go ahead.
never
Um,
did you want to ask that question, or do you want it?
how to
We're kind
avoid
of,
reincarnation? We already done that pretty much, right? Yeah.
yeah, we
How
could.
to never come back. Yeah.
I think we're I think our time
Yeah.
is up anyway, and I think we covered pretty much all of our questions.
Yes.
But Tony, if you have anything else, that you seems like you've shared quite a bit, but if there's anything else we missed that's on your heart.
Yeah, I think it comes back to us. I think we gotta, just remember who we are, and they wouldn't need to do all the stuff that they do to us. I mean, look at what they're doing to us on all levels, energetically, physically, messing with the weather. Like it's just the list goes on. Like, where does that tell you where the power lies? It lies with us. And
Right.
it's easy when you're in the thick of it to just feel hopeless and, oh my God, look what they're doing, look what they're doing in the astral. But th they don't want you empowered. And we need to be empowered. And we need to, yeah, remember who and what we are and remember our own qualities and strengths and just align with that sovereign energy or embody that sovereign energy and become like kick-ass spiritual warriors and I think we do that we all stand a good chance of getting out of here and hopefully bringing the house down with it because like I say I think we're the batteries that power this thing.
Make a prison break, a
And
jailbreak.
I did want to mention if you're interested in borrowing our affirmation or using bits and pieces of it, it is in our on our community portion tab in our on our YouTube channel and on trickbythelight.com if
Yeah.
you need it
Okay, great.
So
Yeah, that's great.
for
thank
you or anyone. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she was talking more about the listeners. Well, thanks, Tony, for being here with us today and sharing. And we'll put your links in the video description. And thanks to everyone for watching. This has been Wayne Bush and Julie McVeigh with Sovereign Spirits.
Yes, if you enjoyed this discussion, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like this type of content, please subscribe, hit the bell icon to be alerted of future videos, share the video. And we hope you're having a wonderful day or evening wherever you are. And always remember to
Stay
stay sovereign.
sovereign.
Yes.
Bye-bye.